Mm-mm. Okay. That was it. Hey. Hello. So, I'm talking about the air element in this live. So I did all other three, and now I'm saved the air element for last. So, the air element is like the mental element, right? The mental realm, not the like in comparison to the emotional realm, which is like obviously your feelings, right? Watery. Air is like mental, right? Like so, it's interesting in these cards that I have. The artist betray, not betray, which is funny. Betrayal is a big theme in these cards as well, but I meant to say portray. These cards are portrayed like not with a lot of color, whereas like the cups, they're very very colorful, but these are like minimal color, mostly black and white, right? So I feel like that represents kind of the clear cutting of the air element. You know what I mean? Just very like mentally, it's mental. You know what I mean? Like no emotions involved. It's all up here. It's all here. Your mental power. You know what I mean? So that's what I'll say about that, right? So then we have the three air signs astrologically. You have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So something I was also thinking about, the air element is quick to change, right? The emotional element is also quick to change, but it's like it's always changing, but like your mind changes even quicker, right? It's fast thinking, right? You're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. Like, think how quickly you can think in a day, all the things you can think about in one day, right? That's the air element, or how the wind is always can change directions all day, do. Different, from high winds to low winds multiple times throughout the day, right? So that's representing the mental element. Woo! This stuff takes energy to talk about. Wait, hold on. Wait. I don't want to show it. Hold on. Okay. So, yeah. Each astrological sign also rules a part of the body, right? So, Gemini rules the arms, Libra rules the spine, and then Aquarius rules the shins. I want to say the calves and the shins, like this part of the um of the leg. So I'm kind of thinking about how that connects, right? Mentally. Almost kind of like how I'm just thinking like arms reach, right? Arms can reach. That's how you grab things, kind of like grabbing information, right? Then you have the spine, the spine literally sends, I believe it's something like it sends not information so much, but then now we're getting into like, like doctor vocabulary now that I don't really have, but kind of like the spinal signals, right? Like the spine. I don't know. I feel like someone gets what I'm saying with that. Like it connects, right? It connects you. It connects your whole body together, basically, your spine, right? So it keeps you balanced. It keeps you stable. Think that, because when you think of Libra, also Libra is like the sign of balance, the justice card, right? Like balancing the scales. That's Libra. So the spine balances the body, keeps the body stable. And then Aquarius in the calf. This one is interesting to me because I guess I don't know. I personally haven't thought too far through with that one as far as like the calves, right? I mean, I'm thinking just like the strength of the calf, the Achilles tendon in the calf, right? And I've heard like if you cut that or if that gets broken, like your whole like everything gets messed up, right? Um and then I'm thinking Aquarius, and like Aquarius is like the vastness of the cosmos, right? Like the kind of like the cosmos, basically. Like, so it kind of makes me think of just like how far you can go, right? Like Aquarius is a very free thinker. Like they're always kind of having a higher mind approach about things, in a mental a mental approach, but like a free thinker. I'm thinking honestly like freedom fighters, or even like the Black Panthers, like this like free, like very who am I thinking of right now? Like when you think of an Aquarius, kind of like a cool cat that like just has like a he's a thinker. You know what I mean? He's cool, but he thinks. He's giving new ideas. Like that kind of guy. I'm trying to think of like a movie where you think of that kind of dude. Um Not emotional, but very like, even I don't know, maybe Huey P. Newton, or like even like a Martin Luther King, of just like giving you mental ideas more so than like emotional, but giving you like laying it down mentally. You know what I mean? A wise man. So yeah, so those are the three signs. And let me now go through all of the sword suit. Okay. All right. So the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords is like like clarity, right? Or confirmation of the truth, a true idea, a true understanding. This is good for when you're actually pulling cards. When this comes out, that's like giving you confirmation that what you're seeing is true, is clear, right? Because it's really easy to read cards and really you're not sure. You think you know, and you really you know what I mean? Like you're not always sure. But when this comes out, it's confirmation of like, yes, correct. So this is like a blessing that this exists because we need this, right? So just like a clear, like, yes, clear thought, clear mind, yes. And then in reverse, it can represent, chaos or confusion or like not seeing clearly. So, when it comes out upright, it's like good, clear. So then the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is like just like how these swords are like this, just literally think this, like no, like something that you don't want, something mentally that you're deciding is not like a mental rejection, even in a way, right? Like a choice that you do not want to make, or a choice that is not, it's just like, no, think of that, right? When it's in reverse, it can even mean like no right choice at all, right? Like no matter what you do, kind of like being blocked on both sides. Like I go here, I don't want that, I don't want that. So just like like just kind of that the energy of no right choice. You know what I mean? Compared to knowing that you do not want to make that choice, really no choice, no right choice, or like even confusion. Give me the Two of Swords. So the Three of Swords is like grief, heartbreak, betrayal, just like how, I feel like in the Rider Waite deck, it's a heart with three swords through it. So it's that like, think like, I don't know, Romeo and Juliet, or like just any of those kind of feelings where you're just like, my heart, like just that's that feeling of the Three of Swords. But it's interesting, it's like it's not emotional though, really, but like it's a mental thing. Like it will the emotional realm and the mental realm do go together, but like this, I guess it is like a mental feeling, that then makes us feel, like it's a thought, a realization, maybe even of betrayal or of like realizing it, like I've been betrayed, I've been, that kind of grief that comes with that. This happened and I'm mentally taking it in right now. So that can be the Three of Swords. Then in reverse, this can be recovery, like healing from that, mentally being able to accept that. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking of like when you've been betrayed and you can't stop thinking about it, right? That's that feeling compared to like the heartbreak is like the pain you feel in here. But this is like, like I'm still thinking about that shit every day. Fuck, I can't believe that. That's kind of this feeling. You know what I mean? And then we have the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords is like restoration. And it's cool because it comes after this. So, after you're doing this, then at some point you're going to have to be here. Like you're going to have to lay it to rest. You're going to have to restore yourself. But this card can in some cases mean death. I've seen that, or I've seen other readers pull it when talking about death. In the Rider Waite, it's literally somebody like laying in a coffin, right? So it can mean a lot of different things, but I feel like mental rest is a way I like to think about it. Rest, like just having to just lay something to rest, lay an idea to rest, or restore yourself. Yeah. And then this can be in reverse, not being able to lay something to rest, restlessness, like you're just still like, it's like, or being forced to rest, like the Most High forcing you to sit down, or like forcing you to think about something else, like, that kind of energy, burnout, even of like you're still pushing, thinking about something, and exhausting yourself when it comes out in reverse. So yeah. So then we have the Five of Swords. So the Five of Swords can be, it's like, I feel like it's the action of betraying somebody else in a way, like having to cut through at all costs, like mentally, like not even so much plotting and scheming. Like that's more of a seven of swords, but I feel like this is an action. Like if the five of wands is just competition and people arguing about what they want or like what direction they think is best, right? Or competition. This is more like mental mental like, ooh, honestly, I wanna read it from somebody else because I I would just prefer to, or it'll help me, you know what I'm saying, think of five of swords. Right. Okay, so what I will say before I read it, in the Rider Waite deck, it's one person who like has his is it three swords? Let me see. Is he holding three? I think he has two swords in his hand. And then there are two people behind him who are walking away who have dropped their swords. So kind of like at all costs, like mental forcing of something, or like, let me read it. Here we go. Yeah, so arguments, disputes, aggression, bullying, intimidating somebody, conflict, right? Hostility. So like when you steamroll somebody, I'm thinking of like mentally steamrolling someone, forcing someone to do something, through mental verbal aggression, like that kind of energy, forcing somebody else to like put their sword down, like, okay, like that kind of energy. Someone has to lay the sword down. So that's five of swords. And then in reverse, reconciliation, resolution, compromise, revenge, remorse, and then cutting losses. So this is one of those cards, and I've seen people, some people have said this as like death, as like a death, like a killing, even, like it can be a lot of different things. Look, the worm sliced. I do know that the worm can represent like a new idea, though, like the a new idea of a worm. So somebody cutting your idea in half, right? So that can be the whole thing of arguing and stuff like that. So then after the five of swords, we have the six of swords. And the six of swords is like all of the swords are laid down and moving to calmer waters is the idea, right? So in the Rider Waite deck, it's people in a boat headed, away, right? Leaving a situation, letting something go, like after you argue, after the argument, like, all right, now I'm gonna go leave, or I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna let it go, right? That's six of swords energy. I also know or have thought about it as kind of like taking the emotional wisdom from the situation and being able to tell the story later. And I say that because I have this deck. It's like what is it? The tarot deck that I have, and it's like it's a Papa Legba card. And so in the book, he's like the storyteller, right? So it's like he's able to tell the story of what has gone on in a way. So sometimes I think about it in that way. Also, like after all the swords have been laid down, here's the story. Reading Rainbow. Like, I don't know, like here's the story, here's the book story of this tale of whatever, betrayal, whatever. I don't know, I kind of think about it that way, and I feel like that's how they betrayed and portray it. I keep on saying betray. I keep on saying betray. So I mean, Lord, that means many, many things for me right now personally, but that's not the point of this video. So I won't go there. But it's like literally, I'm like being betrayed as I'm talking about these things right now, guys. Anywho, but we push on, we thrive on. Now, what was I saying? So the Six of Swords and then the Seven of Swords. So this is like the plotting and scheming card. This is like somebody hiding their sword, you know, trying to get over on somebody, trying to, you know, hide their hand, right? Like, hi, having something behind their back, you know, that kind of energy. Plot, scheme, sneaky. It can also be secretive, keeping things to yourself. It's not always bad, but usually when you see it, you get irritated, right? Because we know it to be like, here comes this little fox, right? Swiper, no swiping, swiper, no swiping, like that kind of energy. But it can also be you keeping some things to yourself, hiding your own hand for the sake of your safety, for the sake of not giving too much too soon, right? Or like keeping a secret to yourself. That can also be the Seven of Swords. And then in reverse, somebody being forced to turn over a new leaf, right? Like not being able to hide anymore, having to reveal themselves in some way, right? Kind of having to stop the scheming, like the jig is up, right? After swipe or no swiping, yay! Like we got, you know, like we got that kind of energy. And then the fox has to, you know, kick rocks, get out of here until the next episode. So that can be Seven of Swords in reverse. And so then we have the Eight of Swords. And this is kind of like self-victimization, imprisonment. So being imprisoned by your own thoughts, right? Honestly, a lot of black magic can have this effect on you where you feel as if you're out of options. You feel as if, you know, you're trapped. And if you see, it's kind of like, I don't know. I know in this is funny, in the Rider-Waite deck, it's a woman, you know, who's got like a blindfold over her eyes and she's kind of tied up, but it's really not that tight of a tie. And like the other swords around her, but it's like it's not that strong of a prison. So it's like when she's ready to face it, all she has to do is just kind of untie herself, like, and get on out, right? And even with this butterfly, you know, once it hatches, like when it's ready to hatch, it'll hatch. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just this kind of idea of like a self-imposed prison, even. But it can also represent actual prison, somebody in prison, or it can represent really a mental prison, though, right? If we're talking about emotional or mental, right? The mental realm. So mental imprisonment, the Eight of Swords. And then this is like freeing yourself from that, being freed, the butterfly hatching, letting yourself go from whatever is keeping you closed in. So that's the Eight of Swords. But the thing about this, the Nine of Swords comes after. And this is kind of like after you go through something that causes you to feel like this, there can be anxiety that comes after, right? Like it represents anxiety, trauma, fear. So it's kind of like after a traumatizing experience, even it can be then the continuing of that, right? Or kind of like the self, like the breakdown that comes after it, right? Yeah. So this is like trauma. This is fear. I mean, as you see, this is like somebody really, an animal getting like torn apart by these swords, you know? So it can be from yourself, it can be mentally from other people. It's this feeling of just like, anxiety, even, right? How anxiety is like constantly messing with you, you know? Like, even though it's coming from within you more so than outside of you, it still causes you a lot of trauma, you know, which is interesting. It's like we deal with that every day. Like a lot of folk deal with anxiety every day and like feel these feelings of extreme danger, even just from like, you know, just from what they've been through previously. Like a lot of us are like walking in this daily, you know, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. And so then in reverse, this can be um hope, like freeing yourself in a way, or it can be like even worse. I don't know. Like this can be like to the extreme, or hopeful, you know, freeing yourself from this feeling. Yeah. And then the Ten of Swords. So this is like the betrayal card. Like this is like the action, the mental action of betraying somebody or being betrayed. Like as you see, there's this, you know, this bull just completely stuck, you know, 10 swords in your back, you know, that energy of like, like they got me, you know, that kind of energy. And then like, but the thing about this is, I was kind of saying this with the Ten of Cups, of like how we think of the Ten of Cups as like the most beautiful moment, you know, emotional fulfillment. And like, even when you're in that, you can still be feeling other things, right? Like, it's not, I don't know, it's not all that it's cracked up to be, but it's still like everything that you asked for. This can be the other way of like, of like feeling betrayed, but it's more of like a mental, it's like how far do you want to take it? You know what I mean? How far are you willing to take this betrayal? You know what I mean? I like, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. So it can be collapse, like a collapse of something falling apart. 10 swords in your back, and then you got to pull all those swords out. And then in reverse, it's like something that's inevitably ending, you know, or reviving in some way. So reviving yourself. This is more so pulling the swords out of your back, I think, in reverse. So, yeah. And this can also be, you know, after all of this, whether this is self imposed or imposed by another, then comes this after, you know, like the collapse, the like, you know, it's done. So, yeah. And then now we have the court cards. Now we have the court cards. So the Page of Swords, which is like mental energy. I think of this as learning information, um, kind of like a curious information, gathering information, even. Something in my mind said librarian, and I don't know why, but I feel like it's kind of an energy of like gathering information, like mental gathering. Um, mhm. I also just thought Wednesday Adams, which is interesting. Like actually Wednesday Adams, just because of just how like she's a very like mental person, and she's young and she's gathering information at all times, right? And like always like in this mental thing. Like that's kind of that energy. And then in reverse, this can be overusing your mind, like extreme mental stress, like just overdoing it, over pushing it, which I feel like also in that show Wednesday portrayed as that too, of like you're overthinking it, you know what I mean? And it's like it can go back and forth of like you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out, which is kind of true with the pages too. Like it's mute, it feels mutable in a way. So that's the Page of Swords. Then we have the Knight of Swords. And can be someone who is feeling drive and ambition, right? Having to take drive to go do something quickly, mental ambition to complete something, get something done. This is that drive energy. Yeah. So, like this person carrying this sword, right? Or not a person, a bird, but I'm doing a video. So it's like, it's like, I guess, or if you think of somebody like on a horse quickly, like galloping quickly to get something done, that's kind of like the Knight of Swords, you know what I mean? Mental ambition in a way. And then we have the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is like a feminine energy, a cold feminine energy. So like some would say stark, some may say just like cutting, like very mental and not gonna let her emotions get to her when it comes to something. Like mental, just like very like I see you, I see what it is. Like I'm using my sword and I'm clearly seeing things for what it is, and I'm not going to let my emotions get the best of me. That's the Queen of Swords energy, right? And it can be that, or in reverse, cruel, cutting, very like even bitchy, some may say, right? Like just not caring at all, just very airy, mental only, not really letting any emotions in. And then the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is interesting too, because upright, it can just be a masculine energy that is also very cutting, very clear. I'm almost thinking like private investigator energy, or like someone who's very like non-emotional, or like I kind of just thought spy, like kind of somebody that is looking for the truth. And this can also come out even for truth, like of seeing something clearly, right? Like someone who's seeing something very, very clearly. And then in reverse, it can be someone who's like bitter. And this can go, obsessive, psychotic, like mentally psychotic, like just, I'm thinking Joe from that show You on Netflix. Like this is Joe, just always plotting, scheming. Like that's, like just in his own world of craziness. Like that's Joe energy, right? And then, Joe goes from this to this, even though he's mostly this. But it's like, I don't know, it's a thin line. It teeters, right? It teeter totters. But That's the energy. So yeah, that is the mental realm. So I'm trying to think the air element. I want to see if there's anything else that I want to, little tidbits I've been thinking about. If there's anything I'm forgetting. I feel like that's it. I really do feel like that's it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting. It's kind of like I felt myself fall into this very like mental energy also when doing this of like just very like it's all up here. You know what I mean? Um and that's good. That's why, right? That's why. So yeah. All right, y'all. So I hope this helped you. Hope you learned something. If you are new to these things, this is more for if you're new, if you know about this stuff already, then this is like child's play to you most likely. But maybe you still pick something up from watching. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.